Capitol Hill is on fire. Rashida Tlaib and Byron went head-to-head in a screaming match that had everyone in the hearing stunned. From debates over D.C. residents' rights to explosive accusations, this confrontation exposes just how high tensions are running and why what happens in D.C. could affect communities across the country. You won't want to miss a single moment of this chaos.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Ms. Tlaib from Michigan.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I think it's really important. I mean, we're talking about 700,000 people that live here, and I feel like their voice gets completely just dismissed. And so, if I may, Mr. Chair, ask unanimous consent to enter the record the Washington Post poll of D.C. residents found 8 out of 8 in 10 opposed Trump's taking over of their local police and sending in federal troops.
Without objections ordered.
I think it's also really important to understand, like, the incredible kind of slanderous, like, defamation. I don't know what to call it. They're just burying Washington, D.C. You just heard them speak about our nation's capital in that way, in a way that I feel very much like that's not what I see. I see people walking around with their families, people enjoying time to see these beautiful, incredible, beautiful monuments and everything. And there's a pride here, too. And so I just want to bring the D.C. residents into this committee, because I feel like they are being made invisible. And this really ugly picture that is not reflective. And I'm from Detroit. I've seen it happen to my city. And it's despicable in a way that I feel like really goes up against our values. One of the things that I know in every abuse of power that, we let President Trump and the administration get away with in D.C., it will be replicated. It will be expanded across the country, and it is going to tear apart our communities. Mr. Jackson, I talked to you about a little bit about this, but I think it's important to understand that we do have a mental health crisis, that we have a housing crisis, affordability crisis. Can you police any of those away?
No.
You can't police away homelessness. And the way they talk about our homeless neighbors is so, no wonder there's violence increasing towards homeless neighbors. I see it already, the brutality of it. When we see housing costs go up, when we see, again, the lack or dismissiveness of the mental health crisis that we continue to grow. And it's not just this administration, and the previous administrations as well. No one has moved with the urgency that is needed. Just last week, the committee approved over a dozen bills regarding Washington, D.C. And, I'm just curious. Criminalized children. My colleague from Boston talked about this. It basically interfered with legislation already passed by the local government. Was anyone on this panel consulted? Any of you? Raise your hand if you were consulted on any of these bills. Yeah.
We were not.
One of the things that, AG, I've been listening to you. One of the bills actually eliminates your position completely. What effect would that have? Completely eliminating your position in regards to be able to do the job that you do to protecting all the families in Washington, D.C.
We'll start with the fact that more than 70% of the residents of the District of Columbia overwhelmingly voted for having an independent elected attorney general.
That's right.
And that's a recognition of the fact that when an attorney general is directly accountable to the people, directly responsive to the people, we are much better at doing our job in terms of addressing housing affordability and conditions in slumlords, seniors and consumers who are being scammed, addressing the issues that are most important to D.C. residents, because I am accountable to them.
I read wage theft is an issue, workplace discrimination. There's a number of issues that need to be addressed, and they're not going to address that. They want to paint you all as this ugly, dark, all just out in the street. The way, it's just unbelievable because they all live here. I don't see it. I don't see what they see. I don't understand why we're allowing that to happen, because I actually think it's going to hurt our communities. People are going to look at Washington, D.C. folks in a way that I think is going to be very painful, but also, I don't know, Mr. Jackson, I heard the stories. People didn't leave their homes. They weren't leaving their homes. Businesses didn't see people coming into. I mean, that's what we want in our nation's capital. Stay in your house. Don't move. Don't go anywhere. Stay fearful. It's unbelievable that my colleagues continue again to eject this narrative and this rhetoric in regards to it. But I think it's important, Mr. Chair, just like in D.C., home rule was won out of Black freedom struggle in the fight for civil rights. We can't be passive right now. So nobody over there should take anything we say like so personally as if we're attacking them. No, we're attacking a process. We're not attacking people here. And I think it's really important we need to stand up against this fascist takeover. That's not a bad word. It's a fact. And here in D.C. and across the country, it is so incredibly important, Mr. Chair, that this committee does not allow rhetoric that defames or paints Washington D.C. in a way that you all haven't really truly seen. You're just reading it. No, you're just reading it or something off of some.
Will the gentlelady yield to a question?
Yeah, I think it's really important.
Will the gentlelady yield?
No, I don't yield. I don't even have time. I can tell you.
Your time's expired.
It is expired, but Mr. Chair,
nice.
but you all live
like
here,
Mr.
and
Tlaib.
you're not telling people the beautiful parts that you do see in our
Mr.
nation's
Tlaib.
capital. And no, it's just wrong how we're doing it.
Chairman, I think it's
Wrong.
insane that the
But you're
gentlelady
gonna
doesn't
look
have
at
an
the
argument, but she's going to
Washington D.C. as a
refer
bunch
to
of
me and some of my
criminals.
You yield to
colleagues.
Mr.
Mr. Chair,
Donald.
We were
you
from the
know
Third
this.
Reich. This is
You're
insane.
gonna look at
It's
14,
insane.
15-year-olds as
It's
a bunch of
insane.
criminals?
It's insane.
Oh,
Do
you're
I look like a
insane,
member of the Third
Donald.
Reich to you, Ms.
Please,
Tlaib?
please,
Is that what I look like to
please.
you?
You're the one taking your voting
Is that what
card,
you think?
giving it
Is that
to
what you
somebody,
think?
giving
Is
it
that
a
what you
card.
think?
No, that's unethical.
I think it's radical and I think it's insane. And I'll respect everything that you say. But to say something like that to myself and a lot of my colleagues is way out of line. It's way out of line. It's way out of line.
Regular order, Mr.
Way out of line.
Regular order.
That's okay. But it's okay, right?
That is not how it
It's
goes.
okay, right?
You hold yourself accountable before you talk about
Hold
Washington,
myself
D.C.
accountable.
Mr. Tlaib.
Washington, D.C.
Hold your
out
own
of your
self
mouth.
accountable. How
Keep
about
it out of
that?
your mouth.
Hold your own
I'm
self
trying,
accountable.
Mr.
How about that?
Free D.C. and make sure you
All right.
vote with your own voting card. Don't be giving it to somebody
Mr.
else.
Tlaib. All right, time. Chair recognizes Ms. Boebert from Colorado. Wait a minute, Ms. Boebert. All right.
In today's hearing, we witnessed one of those rare but critical moments where the tensions between local representation and federal oversight came to the surface in a dramatic and unforgettable way. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, representing the residents of Washington, D.C., stood firmly in defense of the people she serves, emphasizing that the voices of over 700,000 residents cannot be ignored or dismissed. Her approach was not just a political performance. It was rooted in lived experience, in the realities of urban governance, and the ongoing struggles with homelessness, housing affordability, and mental health services. She made it clear that these are not abstract policy issues. They are daily challenges for real families, seniors, and workers in the nation's capital. What makes her testimony so compelling is how she framed the stakes of federal intervention. When federal troops and policies are imposed over local authorities, she argued, it risks creating a model that could be replicated across the country, potentially eroding local autonomy and silencing community voices. Tlaib's insistence on placing D.C. residents' experiences at the forefront of the discussion brought an essential perspective to the committee, reminding lawmakers that behind every policy debate are people whose lives are directly affected. Byron Donald's responses, by contrast, highlighted a starkly different philosophy, a focus on federal authority, and a narrative about law and order that often clashes with Tlaib's emphasis on community-led governance. The tension between them escalated rapidly, leading to moments of heated exchanges that, while intense, underscore a fundamental question in American democracy. How do we balance federal oversight with local self-determination? How do we ensure that policy decisions are informed by those most affected by them rather than solely by political or administrative convenience? Tlaib's repeated insistence that her colleagues should not take her passion personally underscores a critical lesson about civics. Advocacy is not about personal attacks, it's about holding systems accountable. Her references to home rule and the history of civil rights in D.C. are instructive as well. This fight is deeply tied to long-standing struggles for political representation and equality. It is a reminder that policy is never neutral. It is embedded in histories of struggle, privilege, and advocacy, and understanding that context is essential for anyone seeking to make sense of these hearings. For viewers, the takeaway is multifaceted. First, it highlights the importance of local representation and why the voices of residents must be respected in federal decision-making. Second, it offers insight into the procedural and strategic dimensions of congressional hearings, how lawmakers use evidence, polling, and lived experience to make their case. Third, it demonstrates the human side of governance. Behind every procedural question or legislative debate, there are emotions, stakes, and the lived realities of communities. This hearing is more than just a political skirmish. It's a case study in the tension between federal power and local governance, between abstract policy priorities and the concrete needs of citizens. By paying close attention, viewers can gain a richer understanding of how policy impacts everyday life and why civic engagement at both local and national levels matters. If you want to stay informed on these critical congressional hearings and understand the deeper stories behind the headlines, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Every session is an opportunity to learn not just what happened, but why it matters, and how it shapes the communities we live in.